Hey there, and thank you for joining us on Weather Out West. This is an hour-long show where we showcase what's happening weather-wise across the western United States. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. Today, we're going to begin on the East Coast, where they're digging out from their first big winter storm of the season. A powerful nor'easter blew through the Midwest and East Coast yesterday, leaving a swath of snow from the Ohio Valley through Maine. It's creating treacherous road conditions, and take a look at this incredible video out of West Virginia. It shows the moments first responders rescue a truck driver whose semi is hanging off of a bridge. The truck veered off a snowy covered highway as winter weather hit the region and was left dangling 100 feet above the ground. It took around 90 minutes for emergency crews to set up the rigging to perform the rescue. My goodness. The driver was safely pulled up and avoided any serious injuries, thankfully. And the storm also delayed dozens of flights for those returning from an extended Thanksgiving break. In Rochester, New York, a Southwest plane froze to the tarmac. Yes, you heard that correctly. And crews had to pour water over the removable tail stand to break it free. And frigid temperatures are sticking around. Arctic air from Canada and to the north is expected to blast parts of the Dakotas. Portions of Lake Superior and Ashland, Wisconsin turned to ice. You can see it there. Today, their high temperature is a whopping 21 degrees. And the real punch comes Thursday morning as sub-zero temperatures could extend as far south as northern Missouri and parts of the Midwest. As millions are preparing for that brutal cold, cleanup efforts are underway for those that were snowed in.
Cleanup is underway across Iowa, clearing snow from the roads and the wreckage icy conditions caused.
Opened at 7 o'clock, phones start ringing. I had 3 calls within the first 15 seconds.
Andy DeBoard of Perry Service and Towing says business has been booming since the tow ban lifted on Sunday. He says the holiday weekend, combined with the extreme snowfall, is boosting the number of people in need.
We were just hit with that, 10, 12 inches right off the bat, and threw a lot of people a curveball they weren't expecting.
From the 27th through the 30th, the Iowa DOT counted more than 200 crashes on state highways. 8 of them were snowplow collisions. DeBoard says the dangers plows face extend to tow truck drivers as well.
The most dangerous part of our job is working along the roadside. Anytime you see flashing lights, whether it be a snowplow, police car, fire truck, tow truck, doesn't matter what color those lights are, pay attention, slow down, give them space.
And a car dealership in Madison, Wisconsin spent Monday digging vehicles out from the storm. That's a process they're used to and have followed for 30 years to clean cars covered in snow.
We key up the cars first. We start them all up, and then we go with the process that you'll see them removing the snow. As the cars are warming up, then we start moving the cars.
Plows then come through to push the snow out. There are more than 900 cars on the campus to dig out, and it looks like the cleanup job will have to continue with more snow expected throughout the week. So long winter to get through. And the winter storm is also affecting school districts. Kansas and Missouri have allotted days that go toward inclement weather. But with the weather they've seen the past 2 months, they're running out of days. After using 7 of its 8 inclement weather days, Shawnee Mission School District is trying to figure out its plan moving forward. For many schools across the metro, they're in the same boat. If more inclement weather comes, which we can all guess that will likely happen, they'll need to figure out how to make up time in the classroom.
There are lots of options. None of them are great. But if we need to, we'll try to figure out. At this point, we're just hoping that we don't have any more. We're trying to encourage parents. We know that kids have the things that they do on snow days to try to make it happen.
The Lee's Summit School District met with the Missouri Board of Education last night, and they asked for one of their 4 snow days to be waived, and the board agreed. But to make up the remaining days, they moved the last day of school from May 23rd to Friday, May 30th. Other school districts are also trying to figure out how to make up for the time missed in the classroom. Not everything bad came out of the storm, though. In northeastern Missouri, a snowy spectacle is stopping traffic and turning heads. This isn't your average front yard snowman. Look at that big guy there. He's known as Bob. It towers over the neighborhood at a whopping 17 feet, 2 inches tall, with a base measuring around 27 feet around. Bob was built in Kirksville by a small army of family and neighbors. They spent nearly 3 hours stacking massive snowballs, filling in the gaps, and hoisting everything into place. The crew used tall ladders and even a truck to assemble the giant and topped him off with a 50-gallon trash can for a hat. The family said building an oversized snowman is a family tradition, and they try to make each one bigger than the last. And the East Coast is not the only one in winter weather mode. So is the city of Denver, finally. As we give you a live look, residents there will be seeing big plows today. Yesterday, the city pulled all of their equipment together, making sure every plow was mounted and ready to go. The city will have a total of 50 plows with drivers working 12-hour shifts. Drivers started coming at 10 o'clock last night, and by midnight, they were fully staffed. And this morning, crews were dropping de-icer to help give drivers extra traction. Those large plows are focused on the main streets as well as around schools and hospitals. Smaller plows are out there too. Those are dedicated to protected bike lanes, and they roll out anytime the big plows do. One quick note for neighborhoods: no residential plows will be out today unless something changes.
This is sort of probably the first significant event. This weekend gave us the first, great dry run, sort of to get the crews in, get everyone sort of used to getting in their vehicles and running their routes. So that was a really good first practice session. So we did actually bring in all our plow drivers for that event.
As snow continues to fall in Denver this morning, the city is reminding drivers just how quickly roads can become slick and dangerous. This is new video along I-70 near Silverthorne. A driver changing lanes on the westbound side slid off the road Sunday afternoon. You see that there. Scary situation. The video shows heavy snow and low visibility as the car veers out of its lane. State Patrol says it's a textbook example of driving too fast for those snowy conditions. And that video came out just days before Colorado Department of Transportation held its Safer Roads, Safer Winter event. Yesterday, CDOT leaders highlighted safety and operation strategies for both truckers and the rest of the U.S. before the first major snowfall. They talked staffing, resource surging, and snow shifts, and chain and traction law enforcement.
We've worked hard over the last few years to fill key vacancies, build up resources in areas where it's hard for folks to get there in the winter conditions. Taking innovative strategies like helping to build workforce housing in areas like this one. We've really brought all the tools to the table to make sure that we have adequate resources in the Mountain Corridor.
Now, there is a new rule in place for drivers there. Treads must have a tire depth of 3/16 an inch. And our weather team in Denver is tracking the snow for us. Let's check in with Kathy Sabin and Katie LaSalle.
Hello from Denver, Colorado, where we are finally seeing some accumulating snowfall, the first significant storm of the season, and so a weather impact alert issued today, and the morning drive, no fun at all. Most of the cold and snow settling in the first half of the day, and 3 to 6 inches of snow will certainly be impactful for the drive throughout the afternoon and evening. We've got the potential for heavier snow to the west and to the south, and speaking of the south, in the southern mountains, a winter storm warning for up to 7 17 inches of snow. And wow, do the mountains and ski resorts need it. But in Denver, it's been a long time since we've had snow all day and cold, and back to those winter driving conditions. A lot of us haven't had to deal with that in quite some time. Storms rolling in from the northern Rockies, crossing our Colorado Rockies, and as it moves across the mountain range, a deep upslope will develop for some areas. Winds out of the northeast will mean 3 to 6 inches of snow. Now, it got going late last night and will go for the first half of the day today. But by the time we get to late morning, we start to see that drier air working in, and the storm is out by tonight. But you know, with clear skies, it's going to be really cold with lows in the teens. And then we're off and running to a pretty nice day tomorrow. The mountains have winter weather and travel advisories today for about 5 to 10 inches of snow. Many of these resorts making snow, desperately needing the snow, and this storm should be a difference maker. Those winter weather advisories are out for 5 to 10 inches of snow. That's for the high country. Here in Denver, this advisory out through most of the day for 3 to 6 inches of snow for the I-25 corridor from Fort Collins all the way down into Castle Rock and possibly the Palmer Divide. Lighter accumulation to the north and east, heavier accumulation off to the west, and the temperatures, the other big story. I doubt we get above 32 degrees today. So a weather impact alert issued for Denver for today, and then a warming and drying trend will get us back to sunshine and 50s as we move into the early part of next week.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. Let it snow, let it snow. Finally, our first notable snowfall of the season. Denver International Airport, as of 5 o'clock this morning, over 2 inches of snow. We expect that total to increase when they release that number, but it has been the largest snow that Denver has seen since February 15th. 291 days ago. And we have continued to pick up some pretty substantial snow totals over portions of the Front Range up through Genesee. Over 7 inches reported, 6.5 over portions of southeast Denver. Boulder, upwards of half of a foot of fresh snow. So the roads have definitely been impacted. The mountains less so of a snow event. We're seeing that upslope effect here across Colorado with this storm system. Eldora, though, 5 inches, and around 2 for portions of Loveland ski area down through Aspen, Snowmass, and Steamboat. But we are expecting to see a little more snow pile up from the high country to the metro area and plains through the course of this storm system. Later on tonight, the snow will gradually come to an end statewide, but with temperatures dropping to the single digits and teens, extremely cold air will lead to some slick and icy roadways, especially on roads that haven't been treated. Across the side streets and side roadways, definitely want to play it safe early tomorrow morning, with temperatures set to fall to the low teens in Denver, 1 for a low in Winter Park. And then winter weather advisories are set to end right around 6 o'clock this evening with the heaviest snowfall over portions of our southern mountains. So taking us through Futurecast, the storm system slowly swirling out of the state as skies clear. We won't be seeing snow falling for the morning commute tomorrow, but definitely this is your warning to please take it easy here across Colorado. Wonderful to see the snowfall. Just want to be careful driving around on the roads.
After a quick break, we're headed to Spokane, Washington, and then Boise, Idaho. Welcome back to Weather Out West. Now we're going to take you to Spokane, Washington, where Thomas Patrick is tracking winter impacts, including black ice and the potential for a wintry mix tomorrow.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington. We are gearing up for another round of wintry weather for tomorrow. Looks like today is just going to remain looking like this. The leftover snow from earlier in the week, clouds overhead, just a quiet day before the next storm arrives tomorrow morning. And it'll be a bit of a wintry mix, maybe even snow changing to rain through the day. A complicated forecast, so I want to go over all of these details for eastern Washington and North Idaho. Before we get to a kind of big warm up for the West Coast, you're going to notice that all throughout the region. So what's happening is there's a bit of a ridge over the Pacific Ocean. The moisture is riding it kind of like train tracks. For now, it's closer to western Washington, and it will take about 24 hours before it arrives in eastern Washington. It's a bit colder here compared to Seattle, so our precipitation likely starts as snowfall in the morning. But at some point, it might walk over into rain by the afternoon. And that's just one of the key details that has to go into a snow forecast or a winter storm forecast altogether. Let's just start you with how much snow we'll get around Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. Doesn't look like much. I quite intentionally go 0 to 1 inch of snow. 0 because it is a real possibility that no snow accumulates. 1 inch would be around some of the top end because of how wet and slushy that snow is going to be. Locations that are more likely to get that 2nd or maybe 3rd inch of snow would include Moscow, St. Mary's, as well as Kellogg and Wallace in Idaho. So those regions probably a bit more on the snowy end of the scale. Everywhere else, it's kind of 50-50 here. We look at the 3 T's of snowfall forecasting: temperature, timing, and totals. You just saw the totals in the previous map. Temperatures starting below freezing, ending above freezing, and that's why snow versus rain is a big consideration. And the timing makes a difference too. This will be a midday event, not an overnight event. If this were 12 hours later or 12 hours earlier, it absolutely would be all snow. But middle of the day is kind of the warmest point of the day, and that leans us a little bit more into a wet or slushy scenario. So here's how it looks like on one of our future tracker models. I say it that way because you'll see some other ones in a moment. This is probably the most likely scenario. Snow starting in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, 8 to 10 a.m. Thursday. And then it's going to try to switch over to rain by the afternoon. I think our modeling doesn't quite get it there, at least not on this particular one. But I do think it undercuts or melts away some of our ultimate snow totals. That's why I went 0 to 1 and kind of stayed away from a 2-inch total, because I just don't think that's going to happen at all. What you just saw was the HRRR model, or HRRR for short. It had that snow changing to rain. The European model kind of did the same thing. It's going to start as snow, and then the more green starts to take over in the afternoon. Meanwhile, our other future tracker, which is the graph, this had almost no snow at all. So kind of a weird scenario where our different simulations don't exactly line up perfectly. So ultimately, I think these yellow shaded areas, which does include Spokane and eastward, more likely get some minor snow impacts late morning on Thursday, and then we'll see how that snow, rain, wintry mix plays out into the afternoon, as our high temperature will be about 35 degrees.
Now let's head on over to Boise, Idaho, and things are going to be really nice before we have some changes. Our weather team in Boise actually issued a first alert for Friday and Saturday as widespread rain and mountain snow are expected. Here's Hector Mendoza with much more.
We have some active weather coming along across southwest Idaho, and it looks like it starts very late on Thursday, but the biggest impacts are going to be Friday and Saturday. That's where we're expecting a little bit more of that snow to start to stack up in some of the higher elevations, and a little bit more of that rain really starting to impact many of the valley spots. And that's going to be one of the impacts that we're going to be seeing here as we head on towards this weekend. The other thing to really pay attention to is going to be some of those very dicey travel conditions across some of those mountains in Oregon, and especially as you look at the west central mountains here as we get towards Friday afternoon and in through early Saturday morning. So aside from that, we are expecting that a lot of those outdoor activities are going to be impacted from the wet and wintry conditions. So the biggest thing to really keep in mind is plan ahead, stay with us here on KTVB Plus, and continue to watch us here for some of those updates here. And we're also going to see that another resource that's going to be handy is going to be 511.idaho.gov for a lot of those road conditions. So if you're trying to make sure kind of what it looks like and how you are going to be faring there on some of those roadways, that's a really good resource. But for today, things are going to stay pretty quiet as we're going to have this ridge of high pressure continuing to keep those conditions quiet, and we're going to stay cool here for today. Not much really changes for the first half of our Thursday, but we do anticipate a little bit more of some activity coming along Thursday afternoon and heading into the evening. So this is a look at what we're expecting here through tonight. So not much really going on. We're going to see a lot more of that clearing here through tonight, and some of those clouds do start to build up to portions of the central mountains. But as we head towards Thursday morning, a lot more of those clouds start to build up, and then we start to see a lot more of those very light snow showers start to come along, as we do have snow levels that drop down to around 2,000 to 3,000 feet. So that's going to get very close to some of these valley floors. Could see a bit of a wintry mix, and we could see some of that precipitation kind of continue on as rain for some spots. And as we fast forward there, we get a bit of a break up until we get towards Friday morning, and that's when we're anticipating a little bit more of that incoming rain as those snow levels will start to rise up just a little bit more through Friday morning and then continue to rise throughout most of the day as a lot of that snow really starts to make its way up and continue in portions of the mountains. And then we're expecting, again, very active weather to continue as we head on into Saturday. So here's a look at some of the mountain spots as we do anticipate some of those higher peaks sitting around maybe 6,000 to 7,000 feet to see several inches of snow starting to stack up. And again, as we head towards late Thursday and through early Friday, those snow levels will start to rise up to around 5,000 to 6,000 feet. Then as we get towards the end of the day on Friday and through early Saturday, those will rise up to around 6,000 to 8,000 feet and will continue with a lot more of that active weather as we continue on in towards Monday. And so that's why we have first alert weather conditions there for Friday and Saturday, as it's going to impact a lot of the outdoor plans, especially as we look out into portions of the Magic Valley. And we'll also see some of those winds really start to pick up. Other than that, we'll see those temperatures warm up and get above average here as we look in the upper 40s and low 50s as we get into the beginning of next week. And that's going to be very similar here as we look at our 7-day forecast for Friday and Saturday here in the Treasure Valley, specifically in Boise, as we'll climb up into the upper 40s. Again, the big matchup against UNLV comes along here for Friday, so that's going to be the biggest thing that'll get impacted as a lot of folks are going to head out to tailgate and head out to that game as it is here at home at Albertson Stadium. And then we're going to continue with those conditions all the way through Saturday.
Coming up after the break, we're going to check in with Ginger Jeffries from Phoenix. Welcome back to Weather Out West. So our meteorologist, Ginger Jeffries, is tracking a cold front that's moving through Arizona, and it's going to bring light rain and snow to portions of the state. Here are the details.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries. A look at your weather out west across Arizona, where we are going to see a couple speed bumps in our otherwise perfect weather forecast. I'm talking about some increased cloud cover primarily to the northern part of the state. And some of these clouds have the capability of producing not just rain, but even some snow. We've got some tasters of this over the last few days. Rhonda, one of our 12 News weather watchers, sending me this photo from Mesa. And because of the moisture that these clouds are bringing in, yeah, we've had some pretty incredible sunups and sundowns. But today, yeah, unlike yesterday where we had a bunch of sun icons, we've got some rain, we've got some snow, and even some wind closer to Bullhead City into Lake Havasu, where, yeah, as this front moves on through, basically the pressure is going to tighten up, and the natural outflow from that is some wind. But again, as you look at these icons, seeing rain and snow, this is not an all-day rain and snow event. It's going to be a dusting, and it's kind of minimal rainfall at best, but it is going to get close enough to kick some clouds to the metro area, and temperature-wise, we're going to be coming down. Now, where will you really feel it? Tomorrow morning. I mean, take a look at some of these overnight conditions. And remember, we hit our overnight low in the early morning hours. So we've got a bunch of 30s on the board from Safford into Tucson, 20s from Winslow into Payson, teens for Flagstaff into the Grand Canyon, Kingman dropping down into the low 30s. So yeah, we're getting a little bit of a taste of winter-esque weather. Now, there is some wind that's going to be accompanying this low today. Primarily, we're going to see that on the western side of the state. We have a lake wind advisory for Kingman into Las Vegas. It's not a monster advisory. It's just kind of a heads up, a red flag saying, hey, you're going to deal with some winds the majority of the day, and those winds for the most part are going to be over 20 miles an hour. Tomorrow, once again, we'll see a little bit of wind, but again, lesser variety, under about 20 miles an hour. So here we go. Today, after about 9:30, here it comes. We've got this layer of snow, and I'm talking upper levels of the atmosphere, higher elevations, over 9,000 feet. By the afternoon hours, when we get a little bit of a warming, that's when it's going to transfer from snow into freezing rain and rain. And you can see it's getting awfully close. I mean, it looks like it's going to stay north of Cave Creek and east of Apache Junction into the Safford area. But again, it's getting close to the metro, so we'll update you if this changes. But it doesn't look like it's actually going to bring in any kind of rainfall for Phoenix, even though it's going to be in our surrounding areas. You can see the measurable rainfall totals pretty wimpy at best, about a tenth, a quarter of an inch maybe. And again, all for the higher elevations. So who's getting the rain? Looks like the best opportunity will be the White Mountains today, tapering off into tomorrow. And then high country, about 30% of the region will be seeing some spotty showers here and there. Otherwise, for Phoenix, we're going to see plenty of sun with daytime highs pushing up to about 68 degrees. Wonderful degree off of our normal range. And then tonight, yeah, that cooler air definitely settling in as overnight lows drop into the upper 30s and low 40s. So cold air is going to be a big feature of the forecast for us at least through Friday, as Flagstaff drops into the 40s during the day and, like I said, teens overnight. And then for the Valley of the Sun, well, hey, not too bad, right? Plenty of sunshine, but certainly on the cooler side. Hey, how about this? We're in the 60s through Saturday, and then a warming trend takes you into the early part of next week.
Coming up after a quick break, we'll head to the Pacific Northwest and a look at Rockefeller Center ahead of the tree lighting today. Taking a live look to Rockefeller Center in New York City. You can see it there. The tree will officially light up today. This year, the tree is a 75-foot tall, 45-foot wide Norway spruce tree from East Greenbush, New York. It will be decorated with more than 50,000 multicolored lights and topped with a 3D Swarovski crystal star. So exciting. See a lot of people already trying to gather around the area. Very exciting times. So welcome back to Weather Out West. Now we're going to pick things up and go to Seattle, Washington, where Rich Marriott is tracking a rainy stretch of weather, and he tells us if the ski resorts can expect any snow.
Well, happy Wednesday. We made it halfway through the work week. I'm King 5 meteorologist Rich Marriott, and we have a weak front pushing its way into the from the northwest into western Washington. You see it's kind of falling apart as it moves in. It wasn't very strong to begin with, but as it's moved inland, basically giving us just a lot of clouds today. We have seen a few showers out along the coast and also primarily north of Seattle. You might see a few sprinkles elsewhere, but not much in this front. It's going to continue to weaken, and it's primarily just going to keep us cloudy today and give us a cool day with highs most spots only getting into the mid 40s. Take a look outside. You can see looking a little wet there in Port Angeles from those showers. Looking at the parking lots there and around the Everett area, we've seen a little bit of mist coming down this morning to kind of dampen things down. Fortunately, that mostly came after the morning commute. There at Seattle, still dry there, and again, all we're really looking for south of Everett is a few sprinkles here and there, and you can see you could make the Cascades out over the top of some low clouds out there in the distance. Our 7-day forecast today may be our driest day of the next 7. There's only a few showers or sprinkles around today. This is a series of systems are going to start moving through and wetting us down as we head towards the end of the week. They're also going to be coming in a little bit warmer, pushing our high temperatures into the low to mid 50s over the weekend and on into next week, and we continue to be wet and mild on into next week at this point. Take a look at the satellite image. Big arc of clouds out here. There's a big area of high pressure that's kind of sitting there right now. The system that's moving through today, it's actually the extension of this atmospheric river that extends all the way down to the subtropics, but it weakens and rains itself out, so not getting a whole lot out of that once it goes over the top of that ridge. But as we head towards the weekend and into next week, that high pressure area is going to drop southward a little bit and move a little bit more towards the east. That's going to allow systems to come in gradually warmer and wetter, especially as we head into the first part of next week. We could see more of a west to southwesterly track for those systems coming in, which is going to give us pretty wet weather. It doesn't look like right now we'd see any major flooding out of it, but we're definitely going to see some river rises as we head over the weekend into the first part of next week, and might see a few places get into minor flood stages. So we'll keep close watch on that as we get closer to the weekend. Checking the computer model, you can see by later on today, just still a few showers primarily up to the north. That kind of gives up overnight. Then we have a system move through tomorrow and get the idea. Another one moves through on Friday. We're going to see still, it's about one a day that's moving through here, keeping us wet all the way through the weekend and then all the way into next week. And in fact, if we look at next week and kind of run through that quickly, you can see it's a whole series of actually even wetter systems that are going to be moving through here and soaking things down through at least the middle part of next week, with snow levels a little bit higher than we'd like to see in terms of getting those ski areas open. Take a look, in fact, the Hurricane Ridge. This is the 5,000-foot level in the Olympics. You see only really just a dusting still holding on the area around the Hurricane Ridge. And they're at about the same elevation in Mount Rainier. Not very much snow coverage there either, as most of the snowfall has taken place above 5,000 feet. Even though we've had a lot of rain in the lowlands, it just hasn't come down as snow up in the mountains. We check the snow levels over the next 7 days. It's right around 3,000 feet today, so that's pretty much for all the ski area bases, but we're not expecting much, maybe just a trace out of that, unfortunately. And then you see it gradually rises up tomorrow and then on into Friday. Friday at the 6,000-foot snow level will be rain at the base of all the ski areas, it looks like. And then as we head into the weekend and on into next week, we'll see it hover between about 4,000 and 5,000 feet, and that's for the central Cascades. So that'd be roughly, say, Snoqualmie Pass area. To the north, up where Stevens Pass and Mount Baker are, there's going to be a little bit cooler. In fact, it could be as much as 1,000 feet lower than what this central Cascade snow level is. So we might be able to see some snow at the bases of Stevens and Mount Baker, it looks like, as we head into next week. And then we kind of stay there on through the week. Unfortunately, nothing would be giving us snow at the base of the Snoqualmie areas in sight, at least not at this point. But of course, we'll continue to track that really closely. So overall, checking that 7-day forecast. So today, mostly cloudy, those few showers mainly north of Seattle or sprinkle. We will be looking for rain at times for Thursday and Friday, gradually warming as we hit the weekend. Showers and sun breaks on Saturday, another wet day on Sunday, and then it looks like rain off and on for Monday and Tuesday. And you can see those high temperatures getting solidly into the low to mid 50s as we head into next week.
And in Portland, rainy weather returns Thursday through Sunday. Rod Hill is breaking it all down for us in today's forecast.
From Portland, we have cloudy skies, but the clouds won't have much bite or bark to them today, as we expect to stay mainly dry and overcast with light winds and seasonal temperatures, which would be for us generally mid to upper 40s this time of the year. Upper level highs sitting out in the Pacific. Clouds are rotating around the northern periphery of the high, and then these clouds will be spreading across eastern Oregon today. But again, we don't expect moisture. I suppose it's possible there could be a traceable amount of light rain at some point, mainly north coast or into the valley, but overall we just think we're going to stay dry. Clouds have pushed across the Cascades and into central Oregon this morning. Really didn't have much fog this morning either, so it's been a weather problem-free Wednesday, so that's good news. This is bad news. This is the Mount Hood snow level projection. So starting tomorrow morning, we get back into a rainy pattern. It's not going to be raining all day, but we'll see rain at times on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then a separate system comes in Tuesday of next week. These are snow level projections, and good grief, are they high. 7,000 feet means it would be all rain tomorrow over Cascade Passes here in Oregon, and even up at our historic Timberline Lodge at 6,000 feet. Friday could be the same. Saturday, Sunday, snow levels come down a little bit. Not expecting any issues over the Cascade Passes, but maybe travelers will notice a mixed bag of rain and snow. And then snow levels hold at about 5,000 feet Sunday. And then we have a dry Monday, but then that next system on Tuesday, right back up to 7,500 feet. Bottom line is, we have not begun to build any snowpack at our Mount Hood and Oregon resorts for skiing and boarding. We just haven't. Timberline Lodge has 1 inch of snow on the ground. Here's the way it looks on our Futurecast models. Cloudiness spreading across the area today, and then we've got the rain coming in. Here we are Thursday morning at 9 a.m. That moves showers, and even the blue would be some snow showers out in eastern Oregon. This is 5 o'clock Thursday. Another shot of heavy rain comes in overnight into Friday a.m. And then during the day Friday, this shows the heavier rain settling south of Portland. But rain chances all the way up into Seattle. And then again, we have more rain at times on Saturday and Sunday. So all total, from what starts tomorrow, if you add up all the raindrops through Sunday, modeling says there's about 1 inch in Portland and north up into Kelso Longview, but less than 1 inch from Salem down to Eugene, and about 1.5 inches or so on average along the coast, and some measurable precipitation making its way out across eastern sections of our state. Here is that Timberline sky camera with the 1 inch of snow, which with rain coming in tomorrow will be gone. And again, zero snowpack. That's starting to become concerning, obviously. Here's the Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera in Lincoln City. Cloudy skies, mainly expecting a dry day here as well. I mentioned earlier, haven't really had much fog. We've had good visibility looking at our state capital in Salem throughout the morning hours. Downtown Portland, some low clouds producing fog in the West Hills that sit behind the city, but that's about it. Temperatures around 50 at the beach today, 40s up and down I-5, and then cooler 30s out east. Here's that 7-day forecast. The features today 48 and dry, and then the rainy kickoff tomorrow morning. And look at the temps. Friday 55 in Portland, Saturday 53, Sunday 53, Monday of next week, which could be dry, all the way up to 56 degrees and still pretty mild on Tuesday.
And after a quick break, we'll check in with Sacramento's Monica Woods and San Diego's Vanessa Paz. Southern California may be on the drier side, but there are other hazards looming. San Diego's Vanessa Paz has those details.
Happy Wednesday from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. We have some changes on the way as we get the second half of the work week going here in Southern California. Santa Ana winds, unfortunately, we had a brief break from them, but they're returning as we look ahead to the middle and end of this week. King tides also making an appearance for our entire coastline from the North County all the way down to the South Bay. We have the threat of seeing some minor coastal flooding with tides anywhere between 7.5 to about 7 feet and 3/4. And we are looking at warmer temperatures to blanket our inland region. Specifically next week, we could have low 80s returning for some of our warmer spots west of the mountain areas. All right, as of Tuesday night, a beach hazard statement is officially in effect for our entire coastline, stretching from Camp Pendleton all the way down to IB. And that is due to high surf along with king tides. And we could see the threat for minor coastal flooding, especially in those very low-lying areas. Now, peak tides, high tides will be around the 7:30 hours, both Wednesday, Thursday, as well as Friday at about 7 to 7.5 feet. In addition, that's what's happening across our ocean floors. But when it comes to the surface conditions, we're looking at Santa Ana winds making a return Wednesday afternoon all the way through Friday morning. Isolated gusts will exceed anywhere between 40 to 50 miles per hour or so. And this is going to impact our most populated neighborhoods along the passes, canyons, as well as mountain slopes. We're also looking at the threat for fire danger. Concern will be elevated, at least for the next couple of days, with low relative humidity levels dropping down into the teens. Now, it looks like we'll start to feel those winds have an uptick later on this evening, but they really start to peak overnight while most of us are sleeping around the 3-4 a.m. hour early Thursday. And then they subside a bit looking ahead to Thursday afternoon. In terms of high temperatures, we are looking at a very nice day. In fact, today is one of the coolest days of our work week, and then temperatures are going to slowly be on the rise, especially for interior parts of the county. So here's what Wednesday's highs look like for us here in San Diego County. We'll be topping out in the mid to high 60s from Oceanside all the way to downtown San Diego. And notice how in the inland valleys, we're looking at temperatures very comparable, mid to high 60s from Fallbrook all the way down to La Mesa. 57 degrees, so about 10 degrees cooler for our mountain neighborhoods, and we'll be topping out in the low 70s out in Borrego Springs. It's going to be a pretty chilly night with the return of those offshore winds, so winds blowing from the east to the west. They'll kind of move that marine layer and a lot of those clouds out of the way, resulting into a very chilly night. So grab that jacket if you have any evening plans. 50 degrees overnight for the coastal areas. Will drop down into the mid 40s for the inland valleys and about 5 degrees above freezing for the mountain areas. Today, tomorrow, all the way through about Saturday, not much change, but notice how daytime highs will start to climb, especially towards the middle of next week. In fact, as I mentioned, those warmer neighborhoods for the inland communities like El Cajon, Santee, as well as Valley Center could top out in the mid to low 80s. So next week, not really going to be feeling much like December. Mountains and desert areas will be in the mid 50s all the way through about Friday for spots like Julian. Meanwhile, the deserts will stick in the 60s for the next couple of days, and then we rise back into the 70s by the weekend.
And in Northern California, the weather looks great, but king tides will bring impacts to the region this week as well. Sacramento's Monica Woods has what you need to know.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods, and we're tracking a couple of weather changes coming our way. Here's a rundown of our regional headlines. For the coast, we're still dealing with those king tides, breezy for the valley, mostly sunny for the foothills, and cooler conditions for the Sierra. In fact, we have cold weather alert for the Sierra, especially through the central and southern Sierra above 9,000 feet. That will continue through Thursday morning. We're talking wind chills that'll bring temperatures down to 10 below zero. Some very, very cold weather. Now let's head to the coast. This is where we're dealing with some of those high tides, the king tides. That is when we have those high tides in conjunction with the full moon, and it really elevates not only the tides but the surf, so we get these sneaker waves and some strong rip currents. Watch out for that. Through midday today, we'll continue to monitor any potential flooding. We talked about that full moon. It's the last supermoon of 2024. It hits us on Thursday. We've got the clearing skies, so we actually have an opportunity in the valley to see the full moon. We've been stuck in this foggy pattern. We saw it break early in the week. We'll continue to see our northwest winds kick up. What that's going to do is erode much of the low-lying cloudiness that has been so pervasive since last week. A little bit of a disruptive weather pattern for a slight chance of a few snow flurries for this year that will dissipate quickly. And again, behind it, we get the colder air that will keep those wind chills quite cold in the higher elevations. A little bit of mix of sun and clouds through the middle of the week, but again, with those north winds, they're very dry. It will help to reduce the opportunity of seeing those clouds and the low clouds, especially throughout much of the valley. As far as the showers, though, they are staying well to the north of us and off to the east. So it's been a rather dry pattern here since roughly about the middle of November. Taking a look at those temperatures, again, it is going to be quite cold for overnight lows in the teens. Afternoon highs in the 40s for the Sierra, 50s and lower 60s as we head throughout the Sierra foothills. For the central Sierra, highs are going to reach the lower 50s, but those overnight lows will get our attention, especially with those winds that'll be picking up. As we head into the valley, still dealing with areas of low-lying clouds through the central San Joaquin Valley, with temperatures hovering right around 50 degrees. Watch out for the patchy morning fog heading into our Wednesday. That will start to clear as we pick up those northwest winds. We're still in the 50s for Los Banos and Coalinga, as well as Hanford. Once we get to the coast, we're in the 60s from the Monterey Bay Peninsula through much of the central coast there, through San Luis Obispo, up to about 65 degrees. Bay Area forecast very similar. We'll be in the low to mid 60s. Beautiful at Point Reyes there, 65 degrees. Head inland, we're finally breaking out of a lot of the low clouds that have kept most of the northern California Valley and Coastal Valley regions socked in fog, and 40s for afternoon highs. So nice warming here. 50s and 60s along the northwest coast, near 60 throughout the northern end of the valley. And as we head into the capital region, highs will reach the lower 60s. Those are dry and warming winds, but you see where some of that fog is going to keep us still in the 50s, especially throughout the northern San Joaquin Valley. A little slower to clear out of the low cloudiness. A look at the 5-day regional forecast. Wednesday is going to be our cool day there. We're right back to a mix of sun and clouds and warming temperatures for the upcoming weekend. For the mountains, we're in the 50s, and for the foothills, we'll be close to 60. For the coast, it's a mix of sun and clouds, and highs close to 60 as well. Our extended forecast, we'll see those highs ranging from the mid 50s to right around 60.
Coming up after the break, we'll have a little more. The 2025 Atlantic hurricane season is officially over. It ended this past Sunday on November 30th, and remember, it goes from June 1st all the way through November 30th. There were a total of 13 named storms, 5 hurricanes, and 4 of which were major hurricanes, which that's a Category 3 storm or higher. This was fairly in line with what federal forecasters predicted, including NOAA and the CSU, which is Colorado State. They have a tropical department, and they are experts, and they issue their own forecast every year. Dr. Philip Klotzbach. There were a total of 3 Cat 5 hurricanes, which is the second most on record in a single season. This season also marked the first time in a decade that a hurricane did not make landfall in the United States, which was a relief for many. But tropical systems did impact the areas on the mainland. Tropical Storm Chantal caused widespread damage in the Carolinas, and 6 deaths have been linked to the storm. There was also property damage along the East Coast due to rough surf caused by hurricanes at sea. And meteorologists analyzing storm forecasting at the end of the season say there's one model that stands out above the rest. It's an AI model. The National Hurricane Center out of Miami says the DeepMind model gave forecasters an unusually high degree of confidence that Hurricane Melissa was going to rapidly intensify about 3 days before it struck Jamaica as a Category 5 storm. This was the first time NHC predicted a storm would become a Category 5 monster from the moment of its formation as a Category 1 hurricane. Predicting rapid intensification is becoming a more critical task as climate change leads to storms to undergo this process more frequently. Traditional and long favored models such as the European model and then the American Global Forecast System, you may know it as the GFS, takes hours to arrive at a projection, and they require the use of powerful supercomputers to operate them. In contrast, AI models can be run at high resolution in the cloud and even on some desktop computers in just the matter of minutes. And to keep in mind, we also rely on the hurricane hunters, the 53rd Weather Reconnaissance Squadron, the hurricane hunters out of Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. And then we have NOAA's hurricane hunters as well, and they fly into the storms. They drop instruments called dropsondes to get basically a profile of the atmosphere all the way from the airplane itself all the way down to the sea surface. So in this case with Melissa's the Caribbean, and they actually found potentially a record-breaking maximum wind gust for a hurricane coming out of that one particular storm, 252 mile per hour wind gust. Now that doesn't make it the strongest ever, but it was the strongest that was recorded by a dropsonde. So we'll have to see what the National Hurricane Center says after they do some further analysis, and then they release their, basically every storm, they'll release a post-storm analysis, and they'll tell us if Melissa was stronger than what we think it was when it made landfall in Jamaica. So we'll see, and of course, we'll bring you the latest on that. That's going to do it for us here on Weather Out West on this Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz, and once again, we want to thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you again tomorrow.